Hi all, what a great pleasure to see you all in our second All Nordic webinar this year. We're so excited to see you all joining us today, and we will have a great agenda with us today. My name is Jan Nyberg. It is a pleasure to meet you all. We have been seeing each other in the latest webinars also, and today we have a great variety of different kind of people, and what a privilege to share the stage with my colleague Frida.
And welcome, and finally the Nordic tips and tricks that we all been waiting for. I work as a digital transformation manager along with Jan, and we are covering the Nordics together. So we thought it would be a wonderful idea to bring all of you together and share some of the best tips and tricks we have seen. We have seen a lot, but we have chosen a few to promote today. We would like you to introduce you to the whole Nordic team that we are working with. We have Emil Andersson, which is one of our guests today. We will put him on the spot later. But then we also have Mia Bergius, Isabel Gonzalez Miranda, and Cecilia Bövold working together with us, covering the whole Nordics. But should we invite our first guest, Jan?
Absolutely.
Let's do it this way.
Let us introduce a man of great acclaim. Emil Andersson is the name. The Google for Education lead for Nordics and Baltics, innovating learning with his powerful analytics. So please give a warm welcome, let the trumpet sound. The man of the hour is here, let's gather round.
Hello, Emil. I suppose you have never had an intro like this before.
I can clearly hear that someone has been creative with the use of the newest features in Gemini.
Love it.
You're right. Yes. As a former music educator, that's the only approach we can have for an introduction like this. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. I wouldn't expect anything else from you, Jan, and Frida.
That's great. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today. We thought it would be really great to also have you in this session. And usually I think Frida can also agree that you're the one asking the questions from us, but now we have the privilege to ask the questions from you. So let's kick off with a little Q&A session. Are you ready for this?
I'm definitely ready. I hope.
Yes, that will be great. So we have been providing some questions for you, and the first one will be, you are working with 8 different kind of nations. So what would you say is the one thing that is identical and one thing that is like worlds apart in this field of education?
Cool, thank you. Now, so just a super quick background, as was in that beautiful video there, I'm responsible for Nordics and Baltics. Clearly a lot of similarities, but also some differences. But I would say, like in general, especially, I know many of these guests are from Nordics. I think we are quite alike. I mean, we are the most kind of advanced and connected place on Earth. So I think that's really a similarity for all of us. But I would also say one thing on the people we meet every day is the passionate people. So I think that's one thing I really enjoy working in education, that so many people who are passionate for education. I think that's also very similar across all markets. In terms of what's the differences are, I think, and especially between Nordics and Baltics, I think it's how we are embracing AI and generative AI. I would say the interest is still super large across the educators scale, but in terms of how the countries are embracing AI and Gen AI, I think would say that's quite a big difference. Where in the Baltics especially, they are seeing it more from a natural perspective and opportunity, while here it's more on an educational level or like on a school level. So I think that's for now at least one of the differences.
I will jump into the next question right away. Keep you on your toes, Emil. So how do you see Google for Education in the Nordics and Baltics compared to other markets? What are the trends? What is in interest? What is the state of business from a customer perspective, for example?
I would say a bit similar to the previous one. I mean, it's definitely I can hear some noise here in the background. Definitely that we are very similar in terms of in this cluster. But I would also say that we are seen as this early adopter powerhouse. So I think like when customers and educators and schools, etc., come to visit Nordics, they have a big interest in that. So we are welcoming guests from many places. Actually, we visited a group from Japan who wanted to go to Finland and Sweden in this case because they were really interested into the education system in Nordics. So I think that's definitely one. Also, we are welcoming our product teams who are super interested in what's happening in the Nordic and Baltic arena where they're involved. So if someone is visiting SET, the Swedish trade show in April, you will have the opportunity to listen and speak to product teams who are actually here to get feedback from you.
Thank you.
Great, and we will hear about SET also later during this webinar. In Google Workspace, we have a great variety of different kind of tools. What would you say are the ones having the biggest impact in teaching and learning in Google Workspace from your opinion?
And I have to say, I am not a teacher, so I have all the respect for everyone on this call. But I think I have to say, I have a few ones. I have to say, and I'm going to do it quite quickly, Google Classroom, just because that's where we come from. That was where we were born. For those who have been following, I think a redesign of the design is actually happening for Classroom this year. So it will be keeping the good things, but also adding new stuff. More to come there. Gemini, I would say that definitely from what I see teachers or how teachers are using it, and also students. I can compare with my kids. Like if 2-3 years ago was more like on sheeting discussion, now I see so much cool stuff coming out there. Notebook, definitely. My daughter has dyslexia. That's been a killer tool for her to use. I know it's also a killer tool for educators to use. And definitely maybe the ones we have been pushing the hardest for in Nordics is class tools. So class tools, the one who can lock down the screen for students. That's been a very big drive for many years actually from Nordics in terms of getting that shipped, which was launched last summer. So if you're not using it today, start using it.
We've seen a big need for class tools, so we are super happy that we have class tools now in the toolbox. Can you give us some examples how you are using Gemini in your work?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you one from work and one from personal. Just before this call, actually, I had a 1 hour video clip, a webinar actually, and I needed to see if they touch on one subject. So I'd uploaded that one to Notebook, asked the question, I got the response. But otherwise, I'm a heavy user of Gemini in our tools. Obviously, I'm in this role. I'm doing a lot of slides. That's saving me loads of time. I'm creating a lot of materials, market plans. I mean, people see me now as smarter than I'm actually. On the personal note, I have to say that I'm not into. I'm just moving. So a lot of nana banana with seeing how different colors looks on the walls. So a lot of use cases for me.
Clever.
That is great. So you have a background of being in this role for many years. So what would you think is like the biggest change you have been seeing when you started until now?
Yeah, and I have to say I joined peak COVID. That was I joined May 2020. There was some interesting, I wouldn't say fun, but like a very important period where we can support a lot of educators and schools. But I would say the biggest now is if I just look back 4 years, if I would talk about AI 4 years ago, I would sometimes use a different word than AI. Nowadays, I think the interest is there. The tools are actually there in what they can do in schools for educators, for students. Now it's more a case of kind of how to use them. So I think that's the interest in these kind of new tools is definitely like the biggest change I've seen, and also very, very exciting.
A lot have happened during these years.
Definitely, definitely. And also you two have joined.
Shoo! That's the best thing. No, just kidding. That
was the best thing.
But you have a great team under you. I can say it myself since we're working with them. What are the ways that your Google for Education team can help people on this call, customers, users in the Nordic countries? What would you say?
First of all, I agree. I have a great team. So happy to work with all of you. But I would say, first of all, we're trying to be local. We have expanded the team since I joined 4 years ago successfully. So we have people across Nordics now. And also from your perspective, Jan and Frida, we are doing a lot of like these. This is actually one thing, like we want to be local with these. Now we're actually doing this from Nordics and outside Nordics as well, but we also want to do them. We are also doing them locally in Norwegian, in Swedish, etc., etc. So I think that's one thing we are doing. We are doing Gemini academies. We're doing a lot of trainings, but I would say generally, if you have ideas how you would see that you want more support, share them here because we love getting feedback from you. So please do that. But yeah, I mean, the reference programs, we have so many programs, so and trainings and certifications. So we have a lot for you. And I'm sure that Frida and John will be able to guide you through this process, and also together with Cecilia in Norway and Mia in Finland and Isabel and myself here in Sweden.
Perfect. Let's keep in touch and ask questions.
Definitely.
More the merrier.
And share feedback.
Yes.
Jan, what have we prepared now?
Week 5, so a grande finale, so to say. So this and that questions for you, Emil. So be prepared.
You have to. You don't get the chance to think. You need to answer right away.
Okay. I'll try.
So, are you an AI as a spark that you're brainstorming new ideas, or are you using AI to polish after, like refining afterwards?
Can I say both? If not,
No.
I say polisher.
You're a polisher. Ah, interesting. Jan, what are you?
I would say I'm a spark.
Yeah, same here actually. Yeah, next one.
Hey, Gemini app or not Google.
My daily usage, Gemini, definitely.
If you had to choose, VO or Lyria?
I had most fun with Lyria the last period of time here. So I'm saying Lyria. What is Lyria? Does everyone want to know?
I'm not sure, but they
have you used Lyria before we started here, Frida and John?
No.
No. It was music, great music. Try it out.
Yes, it's a great.
The song about Emil was created with Lyria, wasn't it, Jan? Maybe we have some other songs coming on later. Let's see.
It can be.
Last one, I think.
Yes, this could be pretty hard for me, but Emil, one day without a coffee or one day without a Chromebook?
Luckily, I could live actually one day without both, but I'm a workaholic, so I'm saying Chromebook.
I won't ask you to answer, Jan, because then you will ask me, and I don't know, so I will just pass it along.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you so much, Emil, for joining us today and for answering all of our questions.
Thank you very much. And thanks all for joining. And I will for sure stay on this call to listen to. I see Terry on this call, and I also see Linköping and Trondheim and others. So thank you all.
This will be amazing. So let's fly to our next destination and see where we land.
I think we have been landing to Linköping, Sweden. A warm welcome, Oscar and Eric. Thank you for joining us today. How are you? How are things in Sweden?
We're doing great. Happy to be here.
That's great. Thank you for joining us for today. And I think we will be ready to hear some magic from Linköping. So the stage is yours, please.
Thank you very much. Can we share our screen?
Yes, please.
All right.
All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Oscar. I'm a development manager working with AI and digitalization in Linköping municipality.
And my name is Eric. I'm one of the ICT coordinators for compulsory school here in Linköping. And we're part of a team of people who are working on implementing AI, hopefully implementing AI responsibly in our schools, all the way from preschool to adult education. And just very briefly, a few facts about Linköping. I do have a comment about the cathedral we saw in the in the presentation. We are actually known for our cathedral from medieval times, but we're also the 5th largest city in Sweden. We have a great university. We have Saab, the defense manufacturer, and of course we make the best chocolate in Sweden at Cloetta. There's no debate. But for the last 5 years, Linköping municipality has been using Google Workspace as our collaborative platform. And that's the whole municipality. Every department is using Google Workspace. And that makes Gemini Notebook LM an obvious choice to implement. And what we're going to show you today is some examples of what we're seeing in our schools. Because all staff have access, and also students from upper secondary school have access to Gemini Notebook LM. So this first here is an example of, beyond using Gemini as a study buddy or a bouncing board, we're seeing examples where teachers are able to create and share their own learning resources. So the teacher can, based on their own lecture material, they can generate learning materials, study questions, flashcards, quizzes, other interactive tools. They do this by vibe coding in Gemini using Canvas. They can embed it in Google Sites, and of course share it through Google Classroom with the students. And this is all done in the safety of the Google Workspace domain. On the right-hand side here is an example from one of our web development teachers, Johan. So if we combine this, the ability to create, you can create QR code generators, PDF mergers, and everything. Hopefully, we know that this reduces the need for these random free online tools, because we don't have the control over what actually happens with our data when staff use those tools. Moving on to Notebook LM, we have another set of possibilities. And the most important thing to remember here is that with Notebook LM, like Emil gave an example, the user has full control over the sources used by the AI. And even though it can hallucinate, it's always grounded in the sources that you provided. And it doesn't hallucinate outside of those sources. So based on your sources, Notebook LM can create, or you can create with Notebook, video overviews and podcasts and so forth, study guides, summaries, all sorts of reports. And in this example, it's Hampus, one of our teachers working at our introduction program. He's created a notebook for his English class, choosing the sources he's included, and he's generating a presentation video. They can look at the video together in class. He's done infographics, slides, flashcards, quizzes. And to make it a bit more fun, he's also exported the quizzes as a CSV file using a tool that he vibe coded himself, and he converts that into a PDF and imports it into Kahoot to create a quiz there. So they're very creative. Moving on to the students, because obviously the students have been using Gemini, of course, for a lot of cases. They're creative, they're inspiring. This is one creative example from an actual student, and we asked for permission to share this. And so he's used Nano Banana to illustrate and help design a children's book for teaching kids about recycling. And this was part of an entrepreneurship and business course. And he intends on self-publishing this book. So using Gemini, he got the help both with generating the images, of course, and also with guiding him on how to use Adobe InDesign, which he then used to create the book for print. And important, I should note also that he spent a lot of time with his teacher and the school's librarian to bounce ideas and write his own text. So he didn't leave the writing and storyboarding to the AI, he did it himself. That's pretty cool, I think. And of course, before we move on, I'd also like to talk to you about a few administrative cases. One thing is that's difficult and frustrating, for a lot of people at least, is how to manage large and complex data sets in Google Sheets. But using Canvas in Gemini, people like me with little or no skill in coding or data analysis can create app scripts that automatically manage data based on a series of variables. And all we need to do is to be able to explain it with words. It might seem simple for someone who, I don't know, uses Java and knows about that, but without Gemini, it would be impossible for pretty much all of our staff, myself included. And another thing is to find new ideas and approaches to visualizing data and diagrams. In this example here, it's our HR department. Excuse me, the HR department, they vibe coded a tool to analyze and visualize budget data. They wanted to see what happens to the total budget when they prioritize the salary for a certain group of staff, for example. And these are not AI tools because we're not quite there yet, but instead they are tools created by using AI.
Well, Eric, that all sounds fantastic. I mean, AI sounds sorts like magic, right? But let's all be honest here. There are, of course, large problems with using AI as well, because sometimes these tools kind of act like temperamental teenagers in that they just don't want to work, or they outright lie or /hallucinates. But that's actually one of the least problematic parts when it comes to ensuring safe use of AI in schools. Because, yeah, of course, you need to know what the AI is doing behind the curtains in order to ensure what you're doing is correct or credible. But when it comes to safe use of AI in schools, there are several other very important aspects to consider beyond learning how to fact check. And we all know this, that our students are using AI all the time. They have it in their phones, on Snapchat, ChatGPT, Gemini, it's in their search engines and browsers. And AI has swiftly become a natural part of most of our lives today. I mean, youths and adults alike are using it every day, even without knowing that they're using AI. So it's important to focus on an awareness and an AI literacy. Students need to understand how AI works, the training data, the biases, what happens between the input and the output. We must teach them about the risks of cognitive offloading and what about metacognition, learning about how learning works. Because will they let the AI do the work for them, smooth sailing, no friction, or will they stay in control and actively work with the material? And we've seen research from MIT that shows that AI influences the connectivity in the human brain when, for instance, writing essays, where there is a significant decrease of activity when AI is used unreflectively. But we're seeing something completely different when we instead have a human learning strategy. So how do we do this? How do we work to ensure safe use of AI in our schools? Well, it begins by empowering our educators and by extension, our students. And that's one of the reasons why we haven't yet enabled Gemini and NotebookLM for our students in compulsory school. But we're getting there soon and responsibly, like Eric said. Again, if we get this wrong, we risk creating widening gaps in inequality. We're undermining these democratic values that we need to work on. We will actually also actively prevent students' learning. This isn't just an educational challenge, but it's a societal one. And it builds upon what we've already seen with social media and the lack of attention that we're able to have, focusing on single tasks. And to meet these challenges, we need to focus on these three critical core competencies. These aren't just skills, but like foundational pillars for all citizens in what I think we must now call Generation AI. So first, we have to focus on agency. And this is, of course, our power to act independently, to be in that driver's seat, actively work with the technology when it serves our purpose. And our collective goal must be to ensure that AI remains a tool that serves human choice and potential. not a force that dictates our future. Secondly, critical thinking. Because we have to move away from source criticism. This isn't something that we can focus on anymore when we have sources, or rather, we get information from sites that aren't sources and that actually say that you can't trust what you get from us. And when we live in this world of generative content, this is our strongest antidote against misinformation and essential for verifiable information. And honestly, like I said before, to safeguard democracy. And third, responsibility. And we do have a responsibility to make sure that the tools that we provide are safe and that we're sharing our data in a responsible way. But this is about more than that. This is also about the individual's responsibility. And this is a core part of our mission that we're talking about very, very much, that we need to talk about teaching staff and students that they are responsible for the tools they choose and the work they produce, that AI is a powerful assistant, but they are still the authors and they're accountable for the outputs, to the ethics and the impact of their work. And by embedding all of these three skills, we're not just preparing our students for future jobs, we're preparing them to be active, informed participants and creators in a democratic society, able to challenge misinformation and shape their own future. And ensuring that we're up to the task will take a lot of work. We're steadily working towards that goal. And I'm going to share with you a few of the things that we're creating right now. And this is especially important as we're just about to turn on Gemini and Notebook-LM for students in compulsory schools starting this April. So what we're doing is we're working on empowering our staff with AI literacy on all levels. We've had external lecturers, we've had workshops and practical training with the majority of our staff, and we're currently also reworking our guidelines on how to use AI. And like Eric said, we're also doing this from preschool all the way to adult education, including department management. This will include guidelines for both school leaders, staff, and students alike. And the material we're developing is closely connected to our municipality's AI ambition and guidelines, including rules about data protection, unreflected offloading, transparency, and also our visual identity as an organization. I don't know if anyone has created presentations with Canvas or Notebook-LM, but it's very often that we see our municipality's logo being completely altered. And that is a problem, even though it might not be as big of a problem as stopping to learn. And we also need to change the mindset about how you're evaluating students' work based on the process instead of the product. For instance, we're also teaching staff about how AI works as a statistical model for generating information instead of a source of objective, unbiased truth. We need to understand that generative AI is trained on loads of data. It's weighted by humans with their bias. And we need to understand this, that we moved away from being able to use this traditional source criticism. What we're seeing instead is that we need to focus more on critical thinking and empowering our own knowledge base in order to be able to evaluate the credibility of the AI-generated responses and materials. Our ambition is that our learning material will be mandatory for all of our 6,000 staff in the Department of Education to complete this August. And this fall, we're aiming for an implementation of a similar material for all of our students. But we're not just satisfied with them watching a movie and ticking a box. We're actually going to include a test requiring 100% correct answers for all of our staff and students to be able to receive their AI driver's license. Yes, we're back to driver's licenses. On a department level, we're also running monthly AI breakfasts about the basics of AI, gems, notebooks, vibe coding, data analysis, and so on. And we're having full seats almost every single time. And having that interest from all levels, even upper management, helps solidifying the relevance of using AI in our schools. But we're not done with that journey. We're still just honestly getting started. It'll take continuous work and considerable time before anyone can say otherwise. But we're also very proud that we're taking this whole school system approach from kindergarten to adult education. And as we're refining and continuing to develop our material, we're also going to include reference groups with users of all levels. For example, asking our upper secondary school students what they wish they had learned about AI during lower secondary school. And what can we do in order to give them that, to prepare them for that next step and empower them as active, confident, and responsible learners. And I, for one, is looking forward very much to seeing our strategy play out. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. That was really inspiring to hear, and many great showcases. Especially love the breakfast one, like where you can share different kind of ideas. That's a great example of how you can build the communities within using the Gemini. So also some questions for you. So we would like to hear, what is your best advice for becoming innovators like yourself in your municipality? Where do you find the power to do so?
Should I start, Oscar?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking that we really need to encourage both. Well, the management can encourage the staff, and everyone can encourage their colleagues to be curious and to explore with this curiosity. Because if we're open-minded, we talk to each other, we share experiences. I mean, that's great. What did work? I tried this, it didn't work. And of course, this can lead to a lot of laughter and having a good time exploring together.
And I also think it's important to measure the effects of AI in the organization to make sure that you're making well-founded decisions, both looking at time saved, but also direct or indirect increases in quality, which we did after we piloted the Gemini Education Pro licenses about a year ago before getting those.
Yeah, that's really great. But how do you get your employees and staff to become and to stay motivated during these like big processes?
Well, here I think the first thing is to give them time, right? And that's like the first most important part of it. Make sure that also what you're teaching your staff is usable and useful in their day-to-day work. And like Eric said about having laughter, I think it's also important to make it at least a little bit fun, because that leads to curiosity and kind of a demystification of AI.
And of course, I mean, with this having fun, with talking to each other, I can get tips and tricks. What use are you finding? Obviously, what you find useful, I won't find useful, and vice versa. So everyone will find their best use of AI.
Exactly. Sounds really good. So last question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you think?
The big question.
Well,
what do you think, Eric? I'll fill in with my ideas.
No, I want all staff, everyone, exactly everyone, every staff should use AI as an integral part of their workday. And AI helps with all sorts of tasks, pedagogical in the classroom, before and after class, administrative chores, everything. And maybe more importantly, every student are using AI, or no, every student, when using AI, they're using it responsibly.
Yeah, I also think that's very important to note that we have to be selective on when we use digital tools. It's more than AI. We have to choose what tools to use at what time, which actually benefits our teachers, our staff, our most importantly, our students. I also think in 5 years, we're going to be, well, we're going to be far enough that AI is a natural part of everyday lives. We're going to have a better understanding about this technology, use it more responsibly. But also, I think agents, which we're seeing having a huge upswing right now, we're going to see a lot of administrative tasks being automated, a lot of manual, kind of boring things will, in a lot of ways, kind of be a thing of the past. That's what I'm hoping.
Sounds really great. Hey, thank you so much, Eric and Oscar, for joining us today. And before our next guest, Frida, what do you think? Should we tell a bit what we are doing at the moment?
I think so. So we have 4 cases that we really like to share with you. So we're doing it kind of quick, but we want to at least share some information with you. So Jan, supporting the Gemini adoption.
Yes, exactly. So as we know, Gemini is here now, and we're supporting the Gemini adoption in different kind of countries that we're working on together. And as we were discussing earlier, we are having different kind of local trainings all the way to nationwide pilots. So it means that we're supporting the local schools in different kind of countries that we're working on, but also we are supporting also nationwide pilots. For example, in Iceland, we're supporting the pilot schools at the moment, and also the Estonian IALIP has been a big part of our workload during the last months. So it is not only the schools, it could be a municipality, it could be some kind of Gemini adoption. We are here to support you, whether it's like small steps or the huge ones that we're also working on. So we are more than happy to support you with all of those. And of course, it is a joint like work together. So the work continues, and it continues when we work together. So as said, please just feel free to reach out whenever you need some help with the Gemini adoption, have some kind of questions what comes to Gemini Notebook LM. We're here to support, and especially from the pedagogical perspective.
And talking
Frida.
about Gemini, we have launched Gemini Academy in the Nordics. We started this fall in Sweden, and so we are not just giving you these amazing AI tools. We want to help you with your digital transformation. So we have a Gemini Academy. It's a workshop. It's a 2-hour workshop, and if you are interested in implementing Gemini in your municipality or in your organization, or if you probably already have done so, but you don't really know how to actually train your staff, as Oscar and Erik talked a lot about during their workshop, we are here to help you, to equip your educators with this amazing workshop. It's, of course, free of charge. And are you interested? Please contact me and Jan, and we can help set this one up for you. It's truly a really great workshop, so please get a hold of us and let us join you. We recently launched even in Norway, and I know that Trondheim is on the call with us today, and they are doing Gemini Academies this week as we speak. So just contact us and we will get started. Jan, over to you.
Sounds great, thank you. Yes, so just a little overview. As you may know, we have Chromebooks, and they are now starting to reach out also the early childhood education and all the way up to higher education. And we are working closely with many like original equipment manufacturers in each countries, and having also different kind of pilots implementing the tablet devices, for example, for the early childhood education. And then, of course, the great variety of the plus devices for the higher education. So it is not only like the workspace, but as we know, together with Chromebooks, they make a perfect match, and they are like a really great companion in that one. And just to tell you a bit about also the little case studies that we have been doing. So we're doing pilots in Gemini adoption, different kind of things. But recently we did also a little Albus pilot also in Finland. So we had 2 schools and first graders. So 2 big schools were attending this pilot. We had 139 students and 20 teachers attending this pilot in Finland. And it was pretty interesting to work with this one because they were first graders, and we were checking how the class tools is working together with the Chromebooks with such young students. And as you can see from the slides, we did some research, and the results are really great, and they are supporting what we're also seeing in the field of education. So I think it makes a perfect match with that one, and also together with the Google tools. So I think me and Frida, we can both agree that like working starting from the first graders all the way to the higher education, it is nice to see what is happening on the field and also be involved hands-on, and that is something we are happy also to do in the future also with you. Working with first graders sometimes requires some innovation. And Frida, do you have maybe something to tell about some innovation things next?
Talking about innovation. Well, we recently got the information that the Google for Education Certified Innovator Program is coming, and it's coming back to the Nordics, and we're hosting it in Sweden. A lot of Swedish flags, woohoo! So if you are interested, apply for this amazing program. It's like a dream come true that it's being hosted in the Nordics in this May. So you can apply before April 10th. The applications are open now. It is in the end of May. And what you need to have is that you need to be certified educator level 1 and level 2, and also a certified Gemini educator. Super easy to just do these exams and get a hold of these certified certifications was the word I'm looking for. If you are interested in becoming an innovator, please reach out to me or John or any other one in the team, or our fantastic GEG teams that can tell you more about the innovator program. But it's amazing, and I hope to see a lot of application coming in from all of you. And now we're flying again. Let's see. I would say from one church to another church, but not really what I was planning to say, but that was the feeling I got. Terje, a warm welcome. Lovely to meet you. Just recently got Gemini Academy certified.
Yeah, yesterday actually. Yeah, great fun.
Lovely. Super happy to have you on board. And please share your screen and tell us all the magical stuff happening in Trondheim right now.
Okay, I'll try. I'll start with sharing my screen, and maybe also I can briefly say something about myself. My name is Terje. I work as a service manager for Google Workspace here in the municipality of Trondheim. I work at the Architecture and Security Department at Trondheim Digital. And Trondheim is a Google Workspace municipality. That means we leverage and use Google Workspace both for enterprise and education. This is our collaboration tool. Everyone working in Trondheim are using Google. And today I'm going to speak about Chrome OS Flex. And we call it flexing. Flexing for the future is a presentation. And flexing, or doing Chrome OS Flex, is, if you're not familiar with it, is just easy put, it's installing Chrome OS on a Windows device. And I will tell you more about that right now. Let's see if this works. Yes. Why flexing? Why flexing beats replacing? Okay. The municipality of Trondheim in numbers. We have around 20,000 Chromebooks, mostly for students, but also around 1,000 or something for staff. Maybe more actually, maybe it's 3,000, I'm not sure. Around 20,000 Chromebooks. We also have somewhere between 12 and 14,000 Windows computers, PCs. Some of them are shared devices. A lot of them are personal devices. 22,000 students and 16, 18, somewhere between there, people working in the municipality. And that includes everyone from teachers and city workers to IT administrators, yeah, the whole everything. A typical commune. I think also we resemble Linköping in a lot of ways. So it was really interesting to see what you guys have been doing over there. Yes. Every year from now until 2030, we are replacing around 3,000 PCs. And that is a lot of computers. And our goal is to extend the hardware life, because, okay, I'll start with why we're doing this. Originally, we did this every 4th year. We were replacing computers every 4th year. And we are doing, I think we're doing 5 or 6 years now before we are replacing a Windows computer. And the reason we are doing this is because of end of life for support, wear and tear, and maybe someone also are familiar with Windows 11 and a lot of reasons. But we are replacing computers annually, and after I think it's 5 or 6 years now. But what if we could extend the hardware life of our computers why would we want to replace a fully functional computer only because of software issues or lack of security updates if the hardware itself is fine? So we have a goal here now to extend the hardware life, to reduce the environmental impact, and also, of course, to reduce costs. And if you take a personal or a shared laptop and flex it by installing Chrome OS instead of Windows, that costs us around 800 Norwegian kroner per device, plus a license fee. And a new computer is not 800 Norwegian kroner plus a license fee, it's a lot more. So instead of just replacing 3,000 devices every year, we want to take some of them out and install Chrome OS Flex and send them back, which will save us a lot of money. Where are we at the moment? The current stats. Okay, we have around 900 Flexbooks in use. From the first batch, we saved I think it was 800 devices from the first batch, and we have also included 100 more. So we have currently 900 laptops being converted and in active production running Chrome OS Flex. Most of these devices are utilized by school staff, teachers, and whatnot. But also we have some devices in the enterprise side of the municipality. And this is important for us. Flex is not just for teachers in schools. Flexing is relevant for everyone in the municipality. At the moment, we have around 200 units listed for sale via our e-procurement portal, edu-on-air-he. So people are actually able today to go into our sales portal and get themselves a refurbished Flexbook. And we started by almost giving them away for 100 kroner for education and around 500 for administration. And I think they are around 800, 1,000 kroner or something to buy now. And we want to keep the cost as low as possible. We are not making money on this internally. We are saving money. That's the whole idea. And we also have a project called Flex and Go, where we put some devices into our cabinet and people can just borrow them, loan them. And this is the same thing we are doing with Chromebooks, but also, well, if it's a Chromebook or a Flexbook, that's not important. You can need a device, you can just borrow it. Log on with your credentials and get to work. Right. So that is the current status. Many people think that flexing is the best, is best suited maybe for students, but we don't agree on that. We disagree on that. We believe that students, they are already using Chromebooks, and the Chromebooks that we have chosen for our students, they are not cheap plastic variants. They are mil-spec, they are robust, and they are optimized for classroom wear and tear. So we don't want to just hand the students an old Windows laptop and they go to work. They need their special Chromebooks for their type of use. So instead of flexing for students, we prioritize repairing and extending the life of the Chromebooks. And we consider flex, at least for the moment, for staff. And we should also mention that repurposed high-end laptop, because the laptops we're using in the municipality are also of great quality, a bit expensive and really good, but after 4, 5, 6 years, they start to wear, the wear and tear is starting and they are becoming a little bit more sluggish, you know. And when we can repurpose them as Flexbooks, they will be really quick for compared to what they were before. Chrome OS Flex is lightweight compared to Windows. All right. So the plan, where are we going? We are looking into desktop devices, Flex boxes. We have done some testing here, and it seems like a no-brainer actually. It just works. And we want to use those small form factor desktops. This is like the small ones. We have some small devices, and we want to use them for both for shared computers, maybe in the restroom at health centers and so on. But also we want to use them as digital signage, as kiosks. And the information screen use case is really something that we are excited about using old Windows computers for. And this is important. The market is a mess at the moment, and hardware prices for PCs and mobiles and whatnot is skyrocketing, mostly because of AI maybe, but also because of global instability. And if the prices are going like they like it looks right now, we might see a 20 to 25% price increase. If our new Windows computers then will be 25% more expensive, that will be a massive amount of money that we have to just throw away. So instead of doing that, we are looking into alternatives, and Flex might give us that buffer we need to see out the situation maybe. But we are not sure. We're not sure. But flexing is an option for us going forward here. It's not all fun and no problems. There are, of course, challenges, and flexing a Windows device into a Chromebook has some technical issues and challenges. And the biggest one is, of course, legacy applications. As always, it's the same as for Chrome OS. Windows applications are troublesome. We are aware of Cameo. It is an exciting and interesting thing, but in our opinion, it is not yet a full enterprise solution, and we are a bit on the fence considering Cameo. We plan to utilize the readiness tool for mapping what devices have to be on Windows and what can be flexed. But legacy applications, yeah, that is a problem. Frida, you mentioned earlier today Class Tools, which is a great new product from Google, which unfortunately does not work on Flexbooks. And this is actually a major issue for us. When Class Tools first came, we had a lot of teachers wanting to flex their devices to Chrome OS. Just so that they could use Class Tools, but they can't because it doesn't work. So this is something that we are hoping will be ironed out in the future and also available for Flexbooks. We also have some uncertainties regarding Android support, and also the fact that Android and Chrome OS is merging more or less or something. People might have heard of Aluminum OS. We are not sure what that means, but we have some concerns because Android applications does not work on Flex either. So yeah, those are the current technical challenges, but nothing too big. And this is always an issue, licensing. When we flex a device, remember it was 800 Norwegian kroner, and now we have we need to get the license for education. We can buy it as a one-time license, but for the enterprise side, we have to do an annual license, and that is not great. It's troublesome and gives us a lot of internal headaches because we have to do internal billing to get the money where it should be, and in our opinion, it will be much easier and better for us if we could just pay the license fee one time and be done with it, regardless if it was enterprise or education. So that is something that we want. The vision going into the future is we want people to go flex themselves, to put it like that. And the idea is that if your computer is up for replacement, we want like a big flashing thing on their screen, like we are replacing your computer. Do you want to keep it? Would you like to flex it? Click here, and that would be really great. And it will also mean that we could automate the choice for sustainability and making the green choice the easiest choice. So if you could make it even more flexible, please do so. All right, that was all I had, Frida.
Lovely. I will just go say to all customers, flex yourself. That's my new favorite punchline. I love punchlines. Thank you so much for sharing. And I guess that people have a lot of questions probably. Is it okay for them to contact you? I see that we are running out of time. So that sure. Because you have thought it through from the beginning until the end. So I guess that people starting or being in the middle of everything could reach out and ask some questions. Regarding class tools, I actually pinged the program manager of class tools, and he says that this should work.
Yeah,
so it's great that we got in contact with you. So let's talk after the webinar and see what this could be all about, because it should be able to work. And as Johannes Bengtsson also said, they have also no problems with it. So maybe some kind of bug or something. So let's look into that one. But thank you so much. You answered all of my questions that I already had. So lovely to have you on board. And maybe we'll see you all in Endkull. If you're traveling to Endkull, that's in Trondheim, then you can meet Terje there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Jan, how are you? We are getting close.
I'm good. I'm inspired and full of new technical things like flex yourself. I love that one.
Yeah, me too. So we have some information. We want you to save the dates. In Sweden, we have the SET fair coming up. We will have a stand, and we will also have workshops, which is new for this year. So I think we have 7 or 8 workshops. Actually, one about class tools. Maybe Tom Chapman, the product manager, also will be there. So please join. And we also have a community lunch on the Wednesday of this. And what is happening in Finland, Funland?
After 1 week after SET, we are also having a similar event called ITK, the April 22nd to April 24th at Tampere Talo. And we also have some stands and workshops. And I'm going to go a bit ahead, of course, because we're also having a little keynote, which I will be having the first time this year. So it will be exciting. And I will be guiding you actually through a teacher's workday. So a little different approach than maybe you typically. So it will be interesting to see. So please join this event with us and come to say hi, and let's plan some things together.
Lovely. Maybe you can share that one afterwards in a webinar. That would be amazing.
This will be the last slide for this event, but of course, because we had so wonderful guests also joining us today, let's give a great round of applause with emojis. So great to gather all the countries together. And Emil will also be attending the events. He will be at Endkull, so you can contact him if you like to meet up. And Andersson@google.com is the email address.
Perfect. I thought we could have some kind of last words, but I think that Gemini does it even better for us. So let's hear what Gemini has to say instead.
That's a wrap on this webinar. Thanks for watching live. And if you're watching on demand, we're glad you could arrive. So leave us your feedback, it's how we understand. If you want this series to continue on across the land, a big shout out to Jan and to Frida too. Hope to see you at SCTT ITK with you.
yeah, so please share some feedback with us. We love to improve. This is all new to us doing it like this. So please let us know what you think of it. And thank you so much for today. It was lovely to host together with you for the first time, Jan. So thank you so
too,
much.
Frida. Thank you so much and have a great day, everyone.
Everyone, bye-bye.